Hey everyone, Lewis aka Spider-Man 1991 here with another graphic novel review, where today I will be reviewing Green Arrow by Kevin Smith. This is the trade paperback that collects all 15 issues of Kevin Smith's run on Green Arrow. Now, the bulk of this run is the story Quiver, which is about 10 issues long, and it's the story about how Oliver Queen is brought back to the land of the living. Now, before this series began, Oliver's son, Connor Hawke, was the current Green Arrow for better part of the 90s because at the previous Green Arrow series, issue 100, Oliver died trying to disable a bomb that some eco-terrorists put on a plane. And he died, Connor Hawke took over, but now Kevin Smith took over the new title, a new Green Arrow series, which brought Oliver back to life. Now, in the actual story, we learned that in his final moments before his death in Final Night, Hal Jordan resurrected, brought Oliver's body back through the very smallest remains that were still on Superman's costume, because the plane that Oliver was killed on was over Metropolis and Superman tried to save him, but he couldn't. So using the tiniest amount of what was left of Oliver, Hal Jordan was able, as Parallax, was able to rebuild Oliver's body. However, he only brought back Oliver's body and not his actual soul. And also, the revived Oliver, his memories only end at a certain point, which is the conclusion of the road trip he and Hal Jordan went on during the classic Green Arrow run by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams. Through investigations from Batman and Jason Blood, Oliver discovers that he is a being known as a Hollow, which is a human being that has no soul, and this leads him really vulnerable to possession from lower level demons. And we also learned that the restoring only bringing back part of Oliver's memory was actually intentional by Hal Jordan and someone else Hal was involved in when he wanted to bring back Oliver. I don't want to say exactly who it was, because that is something big that I do not want to spoil for that story. And that's really all I'm going to say about Quiver right now. The last 5 issues of the book are actually pretty entertaining. They involve Oliver rebuilding his relationships with Black Canary and his son Connor, and they also feature the first appearance of supervillain Onomatopoeia. And Kevin Smith's run does feature the first appearance of Mia Dearden, the character who would later become the second Speedy. Okay, now what did I think of the book? Well, the issues are very dialogue heavy, which really makes sense because, after all, Kevin Smith is a filmmaker. But Kevin Smith also makes a lot of references to the entire lore of Green Arrow, but he doesn't make the reader feel stupid about not knowing it. He does kind of, reference it, but also explain it too, and only really boils it down to the important stuff or memorable things that people may have heard before they've ever had a conversation about Green Arrow. And also during the second arc with Onomatopoeia, we also get one of the most badass moments with Green Arrow, which is when Onomatopoeia shoots Connor in the head. Connor is in the middle of surgery. Onomatopoeia breaks into the hospital to finish Connor off, but then Oliver busts into the operating room, aims an arrow at Onomatopoeia's head, and basically tells him, "My boy dies, you die." I mean, that was just really a real badass moment for Green Arrow. I mean, and also, I like the way that Kevin Smith handled resurrecting Oliver. It wasn't a standard, oh, hey, bam, he's back. Yay. There was actually consequences to it, and an interesting twist about only bringing back the body, but not the soul. As to why that was the case, I really don't want to say why, but it's actually really interesting. So overall, I would say that this was a really impressive story. I actually tried for years trying to get a collection of Quiver, but for a while it was out of print. Then they did the Absolute Edition, which was way too rich for my blood. So I waited again, and finally they printed out an affordable trade paperback, which is very nice. Overall, I think if you are a Green Arrow fan, you owe it to yourself to read this story. And personally, I think it's probably one of the most essential Green Arrow stories, right up there with Longbow Hunters and Year One. That's it for me. Thank you again for checking out another one of my graphic novel reviews. I should have next week I'm going to have another review up that has another Green Arrow story which actually takes place right after Kevin Smith's run, so stay tuned for that. Thank you again for watching. Thanks for your support. Whether you're an old subscriber or new subscriber, I'm Spider-Man 991 saying see you later.